Hey Fashionpreneurs, my name is Jess and welcome to the Fashionpreneur Diaries. Hey Fashionpreneurs, welcome back to the Fashionpreneur Diaries. Super excited to be here with you guys for another entry. We are almost at the end of season 2. Season 1 was amazing. It was phenomenal. I launched this podcast a little over a year ago and it has been more than fulfilling. Season 2 was crazy. I decided to launch it in the middle of the pandemic. I relaunched in May 2020 and then the pandemic hit LA tremendously. We are back on lockdown in LA technically right now. Hair salons are closed, nail salons. We are like literally back in March. So I feel like I'm in the beginning of season 2 in a sense because, you know, like I said, when we relaunched in May, I was recording out of my house, like everything was shut down. So I'm excited to wrap this season, minus all of this pandemic bull crap. I'm excited to wrap this with a high momentum still and just kind of encourage you guys to understand that you are still capable of launching your brands even though we're in the middle of this pandemic. I see the East Coast is shutting down. My hometown of Baltimore, I saw an article today saying that their restaurants are closing. They're like right behind us. The East Coast is literally right behind us. So as far as closures. So I just wanted to remind you guys that it's still very possible to launch. Even though this year was a pandemic year, I told you guys this was my most successful year in business. It was also the year that I got to kind of pull away from the day-to-day activities and start looking at expansion and scaling my businesses. So I'm actually working on a few new business concepts that I'm working on silently. One silently, and then the other is going to be property management, and I'm really excited to get into that in 2021. Hopefully, let's see where the housing market is because we do not know. But I am excited to launch another silent e-commerce store that I've been working on quietly. I kind of got this concept probably around early November, and it was funny when I went home for the holidays. I went home for 2 weeks back to actually Philly. My family is from Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore, but they relocated to Philly, so that's where I go now when I go back to the East Coast. And when I was home, me and my brother and my mom were talking about business concepts, and it came to me again like, yo, you got to get on this business concept you have because you have all of the relationships to get it done. And it's something new. I used to not be a fan of Dropship. I'm still not the biggest fan, but I'm basically setting up my own Dropship kind of opportunity, I'll say. I have an opportunity in a relationship overseas, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to set up this Dropship store. It's not within fashion. I'm really excited to try something new, honestly, because I have so much experience in Facebook ads and digital ads. So I'm going to be running this silently. No one's going to know I'm the owner. And I'm really excited to see how that goes for once because I've always been the face of a lot of my brands. So today I just wanted to remind you guys that it's still very possible to launch. It might take longer than normal just because of today's world and what's happening. Or you might launch with no issues. But I want you guys to know that we're thriving right now. Businesses are thriving. Black businesses are thriving right now. Like, this pandemic was honestly the best thing to happen to my peers. I am seeing my friends making a tremendous amount of profit and sales, and I'm watching them expand tremendously, and I'm so happy for everybody around me, and I haven't seen them take a loss yet. They're only increasing. So I want to encourage you guys to launch right now. So today's lesson, as I'll say, entry 42, is going to be 5 keys to launching your podcast in 90 days. And the reason I say lesson is because today I want you guys to really jot down a lot of notes. If you guys don't know, the Fashionpreneur Academy offers an amazing curriculum called the 90-Day Intensive, and I teach people how to launch their fashion labels or purchase wholesale. I teach them how to create their boutiques within 90 days or less. So today I wanted to kind of tell you guys 5 keys to launching within less than 90 days. And I think that you guys are very capable of doing that. Now, not everybody's going to be able to launch a fashion brand in 90 days. Some people can launch in 30 days. Some people need 6 months. Some people need to see what's happening with this pandemic. There are so many different variations and things to consider as to if this is the best fit for you or not. But I want you guys to understand a few things that'll just keep it short and sweet and keep it simple for you guys to understand this process. I do feel like sometimes when I teach in my curriculum, I'm really excited it's the end of the year, because this is the time of year where I actually reconstruct my curriculum for the next year. So I'm redoing a lot of my modules. I'm updating my contacts and my relationships for my clients to work with. And I'm really excited about that. But when I reviewed my curriculum over the last couple of weeks, I have over 41 lessons, and it could be a lot. It could be very overwhelming. It's a lot of information. I teach you not just how to develop your line, but I teach you how to purchase wholesale, marketing, Facebook ads. You learn those processes over like 8 hours of curriculum. You understand how to be your own public relations manager, how to network, which is really the key to success when you're trying to rub elbows and have something that's scaling for the long haul. We learn the setup of your business, your LLC, your EIN, and I know it's a lot. And I have these really awesome bi-weekly Q&As with my students. And yesterday we just had a really awesome 2.5 hour Q&A. Our Q&As are always super, super detailed. And we go over a lot of information, and they're so valuable. It's like my favorite part of the curriculum is being able to engage and just be able to touch my students and see where they are and guide them. And at the end of every Q&A, we have this really awesome prayer at every single Q&A, at the end of every single one. And yesterday's Q&A, I had a lot of newer students that were starting out, and they had questions about, how do they start? They hadn't watched any lessons in their curriculum yet. So that really inspired me to kind of shift what I was going to talk about today, and just give you guys 5 keys to launching. So I wanted to keep it simple. Like I said, when I teach, it could be very overwhelming. I can go for hours and hours, and I want to make sure you get every detail. So I'm very detailed when I teach. But today I want to just give you guys 5 keys. All right. So I hope you guys are ready to take some notes. I hope you got that iPhone out. I hope you got that pen and paper out, and you're ready to definitely digest this information. So 5 keys to launching your boutique in less than 90 days. All right. So key number 1, budget. This is obvious to me. Like it's so scary because we don't know how much it's going to cost to a cent, right? But we know that it's going to cost to start your line. We know it's going to cost to start your boutique. It's going to cost for you to start purchasing fabrics, getting samples made, patterns made. There are so many different details that go into that. But I want you guys to understand, if you're going to go the wholesale route, which is when you guys go to your fashion district, you go to your trade shows, you go onto your wholesale marketplaces, and you start purchasing. I would say that I encourage you guys to start with 5 to 7 looks, full looks, to get started. So a look is an entire outfit. Okay. So that's your shirt, that's your pants. You might have a jacket. If you're marketing to the East Coast, it is definitely the season where they are purchasing all of the outerwear. They're purchasing coats. So you definitely want to have around $2,500 to $3,000. I went to the district and I purchased 6 styles, and I purchased way more than 1 pack. I got like 2 to 3 packs of each item, and I spent around like $3,400. So I think that 25 will get you started. You could definitely budget and work with your budget. You could be smart about it. You could definitely purchase some sets to get started, dresses, so that you're saving money on what is considered a full look. But a lot of experienced wholesale buyers, they create the look by buying different pieces and then allowing them to transition with other pieces. So, you can pair your pieces together. You can allow them to go into transitional looks. So it's a few different ways you could do it. But a way to definitely save money is to buy sets, buy dresses, so that one full look is just that, one full look. You won't have to pair it with anything else from any other vendors. So that's a good way to save money to get started, but you definitely want to complete the look. You want to style. And I always tell my students the importance of creating a full look by having a stylist eye when you're buying. So when you guys go to those wholesale marketplaces, if you know that you definitely want to purchase a leather pant, that's what's on trend right now. You want a leather pant, and let's say you want to create a set. You might find your leather pants at Rehab, which is a very well-known vendor. And then you might find a really high quality faux leather blazer at Beulah, which is another vendor. And then when you guys pair it together, you have a full suit. Now you can sell this as a complete suit and you have a full look. So you can create your own looks. Like I said, you can definitely allow pieces to pair together, and you can allow them to transition from day to night. So there's so many ways you could do it, guys. But I think like $2,500 to like $3,000, a little bit over if necessary. But I think $2,500 can definitely get you started. 5 to 7 looks to begin, to test the market, and then continue to be consistent from there, adding those new arrivals nonstop. Now, if you are going the design route, you're going to need a little bit more money, okay? Guys, I'm a designer, and it is not cheap to design. The first line that I ever designed, I spent a little bit over $10,000. I had a credit card. I literally maxed it out, and I was able to pay off the credit card from sales and profit. So I took a chance on myself. I risked it all, and it was worth it. It was well worth the risk. Now, when it comes to design, it's not as simple as just going to pick out a piece, right? So you guys are going to be creating a concept. You're literally selling your creativity. In addition to that, you now have to go through an assembly line, or you can go to a full scale manufacturer and get everything produced there. But I have basically like an assembly line that I've created that works for my brand. So my first step is to contact my pattern maker. My first step is to create the concept and sketch initially, right? You don't have to know how to sketch to be a designer. You do not need to know how to sew. All you need to do is basically be able to translate your concept to your pattern maker. Okay, your pattern maker is like that producer. That's the person you need. That is the most detailed person that's going to bring your concept to life. So you're going to have a meeting with your pattern maker and say, hey, pattern maker, this is the garment I want to produce. You're going to explain it to them. They're going to create your pattern. Give them a couple weeks, hopefully, to get it done. And once it is completed, you have your pattern. Then you're going to take that pattern and take it to your sample maker. All right. Your sample maker is going to do just that, create your sample. So in between that, there's a few different things to consider. Your sample maker, I like to work with sample makers that also do sourcing. So that means that they can find my fabrics for me. They can go out and find my trims and my buttons and my zippers. It does cost a little bit more to do that, but I would prefer them to do it because they have the expertise and they know what's going to work best. And they're going to communicate with my pattern maker to make sure that they're getting what is necessary. So your pattern maker and sample maker are going to communicate. And it's very important that they have a great relationship as far as communication, because there's been plenty of times my sample maker may need to call my pattern maker and say, hey, I'm a little confused about this note that you left here on the pattern. Can you explain? Can you elaborate? I've also worked with pattern makers where their notes were confusing to my sample maker and they weren't able to establish the sample the way that I wanted it to be. So, it's important that they're working very closely together. I usually always work with pattern makers that have a great relationship with the sample maker, and I work with their sample maker. So I try to make sure that duo already has a relationship. I always ask for a referral when I'm looking to work with the pattern maker or a sample maker. Now, keep in mind, you can also work with full scale manufacturers, guys. So full service or full scale, they do everything. All right. So that is your manufacturing company that you guys may find on Google. They are agencies, basically like a third party in place. You're going to pay more for this though, because you're basically paying agency fees. There's someone in place that basically covers all of these steps for you. And then they handle the outsourcing. They have their own relationships with factories and pattern makers and sample makers locally and internationally to get your products produced. But you better believe you're going to pay more. I can tell you that at least for one garment with me, I will probably pay 50 to 55% more if I were to get it made with a full scale manufacturer here in LA. So I prefer the assembly line because I save a huge amount of money. And with that savings, I'm now able to produce more volume when I get into the production level. So back to sample making, right? So we get our pattern made, our sample maker produces. If our sample is to a T, it's perfect, okay, then we're ready to go into production. If not, then we have to revise that sample. It is very normal. New designers, I want you to understand, it is very normal to do revisions. A lot of new designers are always scared, like, oh my gosh, the sample maker messed up my sample. This pattern maker didn't get my pattern right. You're explaining your creativity to someone that does not have your creative, to multiple people that don't have your creative. Be patient with that and understand that. Now, of course, you want to make sure that you're clear on communication. You're having meetings. Like, you guys have to understand, when you start working with other parties to get pieces produced, you're kind of switching gears here. I have a student that I've been working with, And she has been custom designing pieces. She's been used to not having to create patterns to design. She's been used to reconstructing pieces and not having to work with anybody to communicate what she wants made. And I created a relationship for her within, I kind of established a relationship where I connected her with a full-scale manufacturer in LA that's going to produce her line for her. And I remember when we had our meeting, I had a conversation with her prior to her going into manufacturing. And she was like, Jess, this is so different for me because I have to make sure I'm doing everything right. I have to make sure I'm explaining everything. I have to make sure that I'm spending hours and hours making sure my notes are detailed so that someone else can understand it. Like, my job is not just to sew right now. And I told her, like, this is a true designer. You're a designer now. Like, it's not just sitting and being an artist, it's really you establishing great communication skills so that your factories and your team members can understand what you want. All right. So that is definitely the difference there. All right. So like I said, you may have revisions in your sample making process, and that's okay. Revisions are normal. I had about 2 revisions on my within my last design phase, I would say, for a newer collection that I have coming. We had to do 2 revisions. That was normal. All right. That was normal. With those revisions, every time we revise within this process, guys, you have to go back to phase 1. All right. So whenever I need to revise, I have to pull in my pattern maker and say, hey, this is what I want revised. So when we have our fittings, our pattern maker and sample maker are always present. Both parties are present so that they can see what I'm communicating to them that I want changed, what I want revised. My pattern maker is telling the sample maker, hey, okay, so I'm going to fix this pattern. Once you sew it, I need you to understand that this is going to now have shearing. Jess is saying that she now wants this to be 3 inches longer, so you're going to definitely need to get some more fabric. They're communicating those revisions prior to us revising anything. So it really saves me the stress because all of us are local. We're able to communicate together, meet at the same factory, and talk things out. So it's an easy process for us. Like I said, my sample maker, I'm blessed to have a sample maker that does my sourcing for me. So we're able to manage that process a lot more sufficiently. And once we have established all revisions are complete, everything is perfect, we have our final fitting, and I love the way that everything looks, then we're able to go into production. And that's when we mass produce based off of the volume that we would like. So when it comes to production, you guys, a lot of factories do have minimums. A lot of people come to me and say, hey, I can't find a factory that does under 500 units. I can't find a factory that does under 1,000. This is normal. So every factory has MOQs, right? Which is minimum order quantity, right? And some factories will say that they have no minimum, but they're going to still charge you for what's called duplicates, which is the same rate that you paid for the initial sample. You're just paying that again and again and again. So if you're just getting 10 units made, I can guarantee you're paying for duplicates. So, that no minimum process is kind of like a format of marketing to attract you, but you're going to pay to not go into production, because if you're getting 10 units made, it's not going to go into a factory. It's going to go to a sample maker. If you're getting 100 units made, then it's going to go factory, right? So they want to make sure and establish that you're giving their team members enough work to survive. So guys, new designers, I always encourage you, yes, you want to start small, but commit to a volume. I think that around 30 to 50 units is good to start. I think that you could even go higher than that. I have some clients that go up to 300 MOQs and they just get 100 small, 100 medium, 100 large. That might sound scary, but you're going to actually save a lot of money because your cost for production sewing is going to decrease tremendously the higher volume that you get. So if I get 1,000 units made, I might pay $7 or $8 for a pair of pants to be mass produced. Whereas though if I get just 30 of them made, that same pair of pants could easily go up to $23 to $24 per unit. And I'm talking overseas pricing right now. You're not going to find these prices in the US. You could get a little closer to finding those prices in the US if you go a little bit higher on your volume, like I said. So I have worked with many US manufacturers. I have some really awesome ones in LA where the pricing is definitely affordable, but consider that if you go that route, you're also paying for your fabric, you're paying for your notions, you have to go out and source those items, or you have to have someone in place to do that for you. So you're paying additional. Whereas though the prices that I'm giving you guys, $7 and $24, this includes my fabric, my notions. This includes the thread. This includes the quality control. Like it's top tier. It's top tier. So I enjoy it, but understand that I do also carry a lot of costs when it comes to shipping my inventory from overseas to LA. That is not cheap. So keep that in mind. So when it comes to ultimately to the budget for designing, I would say, guys, be prepared to spend some money. I always tell people around $7,500 to $10K is definitely me being humble on how much you might end up spending, because revisions cost. Every time a new pattern has to be made, you have to pay for that. You're not just paying for the pattern, you're paying for someone's time. They didn't do your pattern wrong all the time. That's not always the case. And they're trying to understand your creativity. So it's not really a thing of right or wrong. It's really a value of time that you're paying for. So consider that. If you're a sample maker, it has to go back out to source fabric. Or if you have a team member that's going out to source fabric, or if you're the one sourcing fabric, you have to now go back out and source again. If we have to revise, you have to purchase that fabric again, get it back in the hands of your sample maker. So all of those things cost. All right. So consider that. All right. Now, understand with that, in addition to that budget for your actual inventory, all we talked about was your inventory budget. You also need to consider your overhead, right? So it's going to cost you to have a website, your shipping, and not just your shipping to your customers, but your shipping for your inventory to get to wherever you are. If you're ordering from the LA Fashion District and those items now have to ship to Kentucky, you got to pay for that. And it is not cheap all the time. So understand that shipping is going to be an expense. Shopify charges you for shipping. Every company charges for shipping. Every website platform that you're hosting with is going to charge for shipping. But the way that Shopify does it is they will basically, you'll receive all of the funds from the sale, right? And then they're going to pull that shipping expense each week out of your account. So you're paying for that shipping ultimately. So make sure that you understand that all of these things are expenses. Your seller's permit to be able to purchase wholesale and basically transition the taxes from yourself to your customer. You're passing those taxes on. So you're like a middleman in a sense between your wholesaler and your actual customer. So understand that your seller's permit is definitely something that's essential. Your LLC, your EIN, these are all things you need to even have your website operating on platforms such as Shopify and Wix. I encourage you guys to use Shopify. It's the best of the best. If you ask me, it just has so many great attributes, from their app store to I love that they have like this really awesome feature called transfer. So if you guys do purchase wholesale, and even if you are designing like Hey Fashionpreneurs, I hope you are enjoying this entry of the Fashionpreneur Diaries, but I wanted to personally invite you to my brand new masterclass, Wholesale Vendors Decoded. I'm going to teach you how to launch and develop your fashion line, no matter if you're looking to purchase wholesale or become a brand new fashion designer. We're going to cover it all, and it is very quarantine friendly, on a budget. I know things got super real, super quick this year, so I want to help you understand how to effectively launch this brand on a budget while in quarantine. It's still very possible, and I'm still seeing 6 figures a month, and I want to help you do the same. All right, so make sure that you register now at thefashionpreneuracademy.com. I love that they have like this really awesome feature called transfers. So if you guys do purchase wholesale, and even if you are designing like myself, we use transfers for our team, and we communicate basically when our items are coming and from what vendors. So if you're buying wholesale, you can literally put the name of the vendor. We talked about Beulah. You can put Beulah. You can put the shipping, the expected arrival date of your inventory. You can put the tracking number for when Beulah ships your inventory. You can even communicate how many items are coming in. So you can actually click browse and add the inventory that's coming in with the amount of units that are coming. You can even mention and tag your team members in the communication for those transfers so that they know what's coming in. So if you're a one-man show right now, cool. You can still just keep notes for yourself to keep track of what's coming from every vendor. So it's awesome. I love Shopify's reports. I love their app store. And I ultimately love that I can mention my team members. I can upload information and communications with other customers. So it's pretty lit. I like Shopify. Also, what I love about Shopify, guys, is I have this app for shipping. This is a major key. I have this app called Route, And we actually just upgraded our route to have full service, because Route is an insurance company that protects lost packages. And that is definitely a norm when it comes to having an e-commerce store. So Route actually offers insurance on every purchase, so that if any purchase goes missing, we communicate it to Route, and within 24 hours, they refund our customer, or they'll repurchase the item for our customer if it's in stock. But if it's out of stock, they'll refund the customer so they can purchase on their own, but we don't lose a penny. So it's worth the additional 98 cents to $5 max. It's a certain percentage based off of the value of the purchase, but it's really worth it, and it's acclimated through Shopify. So I love it. All right. Now, another key. So the first key was your budget, right? Oh, and another thing, guys, you also need to budget for not just your LLC, but your EIN number, which is your actual number that the IRS is going to identify you with. And also your content. Content costs. It costs. All right. It's not always free. You might have to, first of all, hire a photographer. You might have to find locations, scout locations that are not free. Content is not always free. So content. All right. Now, the second key here is the legal stuff. I want to go in a little bit more, dig a little deeper on your seller's permit, LLC, and EIN. So guys, like I said, your seller's permit is in place kind of as a liaison between the wholesaler and your customer. So all of my wholesale buyers, you're going to need a seller's permit. All right. This allows you to resell the inventory to your customers and charge them taxes on their purchase. All right. So you're not going to pay taxes on the items when you purchase them wholesale, but your seller's permit is what's going to allow you to not have to pay those taxes ultimately. So that's what your seller's permit is for. You guys, you can get your seller's permits through like LegalZoom. You can definitely go through an attorney, but you can save a lot of money just going through like LegalZoom or your local courthouse or state building that offers business licensing. So Google that in your zip code in your area, and you will find the location to do that. And that's something that you can literally, in Maryland, I was able to walk in and get it in like 15 minutes and walk out. But I needed my LLC and my EIN number first to get the seller's permit. So first things first, you have to get that LLC. Guys, LLCs can be done yourself. You can do this through LegalZoom. Again, you can do this by going into your local state building. You can call them. So it's so many different ways that you guys can do it, but your seller's permit and your LLC are keys, and also your EIN number. I see a lot of people ask me like, Jess, what can I launch and get my LLC and seller's permit and EIN later? No, you can technically. I mean, I would not encourage it because that's not taxable money. That's not the way to operate a business. You can get shut down. You can get in a lot of trouble. I have a friend right now that's been in business profiting very, very lucrative, and they owe taxes. And that friend of mine actually had the IRS contact them, and they have to pay a lot of money in taxes, and their business is at risk now. And you got to understand, they were operating for years without an LLC. So this is all, these are all the things that go through my head when I hear people say those things like, oh, I'm just going to launch, and, you know, on the back end, I'll go ahead and set up my LLC and EIN a year later. These are things you forget about once you get into your day-to-day and you become successful, guys. Like, do things properly. Do things so that you will never have to worry about being shut down. If you cross all of your T's and dot all your I's now, I'm telling you, it's going to save you a lot of stress. A lot. All right. Now, your third key is purchase your inventory. All right. So we got our legal stuff done. We've budgeted, we understand our budget. We already got our EIN, LLC, seller's permit. So now it's time to purchase inventory. It's time for us to get those pieces, right? So that's where you guys are going to look at the wholesale marketplaces. Watch Wholesale Vendors Decoded. It is my really awesome free masterclass. And I give you guys some of those marketplaces where you guys can find thousands of vendors such as Beulah and Rehab that I mentioned today. And I want you guys to understand that you have access to so many vendors on these marketplaces. So definitely check out the class. But you guys, you can also go to trade shows if they ever return to the world because of this pandemic. So hopefully we'll be able to go to trade shows at some point in life. But guys, you could definitely go to trade shows such as Magic. Fame is one of my favorite trade shows. Axis in New York. There are so many different trade shows. So I talk about some of them also in that masterclass. So check it out. But you can also visit fashion districts. Miami has a fashion district. New York has a district. LA has a district. My showroom is in the LA fashion district. So you guys can go to different fashion districts and purchase wholesale. So do your research. Get online. Groupon. Do your research, but guys, you want to get your inventory and you want to get the best exclusive inventory. You want to shop where everybody's not shopping so that you're the store that has exclusive items and you're the only place we can get it. Like I told you guys, purchase with a stylist's mindset. Consider that you want to complete the look and consider your budget. If you know you're on a budget, like I told you guys, complete looks by purchasing a lot of sets and creating full sets as well. But purchasing sets and dresses is going to save you a little bit of money there on your budget instead of you trying to create a whole look by going to one store for the pants, one store for the jacket, one store for the top. You're just going to save if you were purchasing in a set. All right. So you might save a little bit of money, not too much, but you'll save a little bit. All right, guys. So definitely be kind to your pockets when it comes to purchasing inventory. Okay. Now, the fourth key that I want you guys to consider is definitely the marketing. Now, the first step with marketing is to make sure that your website is built. Now, your website obviously is where we're going to pull the data from to be able to market to these different consumers. So we're going to retrieve that information from all those visitors that come to your website, and we're now going to push marketing back out to people that look like them, act like them, sound like them, and that are them. All right. So you have to build your website first so we can start retrieving data. So at least have your website's landing page up in this process, guys. If you can do it early, great. Like if you can set up your landing page with just like your subscribe now box and your logo, if you could do that like literally right after you get your LLC and EIN, it will help so much with your marketing, because when people visit that link, when they're clicking that link in your bio, you're able to retrieve data, which helps with your marketing. So the sooner that your website's up, the better for marketing. So definitely have your website built. You want to have great content on that website once you launch. Great content. Take great pictures. Take great videos. Make Giphies. Make video. Video is killing social media right now. Like it's running it. Okay. Reels is what's running Instagram. Instagram pushes forward what they want people to start using, literally. So their newest feature is Reels. So what they're doing is they're using video content and they're pushing it forward. If you go on your Explore page, you're going to see a lot of TikToks. That's video content. Video content sells. Video content is great for marketing. Pictures are great as well. They still are so visible, but Instagram doesn't like professional content anymore. You guys remember the days, and it wasn't that long ago, and I still see people do it, where we used to do all those professional cool content style videos, and we were hire videographers, and we would literally make like little 60-second and 15-second music videos to put on Instagram. Those days are starting to kind of go in a sense, like that we're starting to lose those times, because social media now wants original content that is user generated. They want those videos and those memes and those tweets where you're just literally saying something that's like gold. They want you to have those videos where you're just kind of walking around your house, or you're just walking down the street, or you're hopping out the car and doing a dance. They want creative content, and they want content creators that aren't forcing it. And a lot of these professional videos, they come off like we're advertising, and it doesn't feel user generated. So it's getting pushed to the back, and it's not in the forefront anymore. So at least for my brand, we have not done a professional video like that in a long time, because social media, it doesn't engage. Our video content is user generated. We have ambassadors that we pay to create content for us that is user generated in a sense, because they're creating it as if it was an actual user or purchaser. We tell them to take the pictures just like they're a customer. Make video. We don't want it professional. We want it to be raw and rugged. So I want you guys to understand that marketing your content is how we're going to profit here. All right. So we're going to be driving that content to every market that is visiting your site, or looks like people that are visiting your site. All right. We're also going to create an email campaign account. You guys can use MailChimp, Constant Contact. There's so many others, but I want you guys to understand that there are so many options there. So you can definitely do your research, but make an email campaign account so that you're able to send blasted emails to your consumers. So email blast is what's going to really bring in a lot of revenue. We make a lot of money off of our email campaigns. We invest in a graphic designer to make our email blast. We send emails 5 days a week. nonstop. We send reminder emails when our sales are almost ending. Like, we send emails. We also have a text platform that we use. It's called SMS Bump. It is a feature through Shopify in their app store, and we send mass text to customers, especially for Black Friday. We were lit. All we did was send text messages and email campaigns, and we posted nonstop. So we were able to see a lot of success there. We also do something that's a really, really little awesome tidbit. We call our customers. Right now, we're calling our customers, wishing them happy holidays. We call our customers to thank them, though, every month for purchasing. We send text messages, but we try to also call at least 100 customers to thank them for purchasing. And it goes a long way. Those customers repost and say, I've never had a store do this in my life. I've never had a store contact me and say that. I've never had a store follow up with me to see my experience. Like, we check in with our customers because we need their feedback to be able to grow and thrive. So we call our customers, and I encourage you guys to do that, especially during these times right now. It means the world to hear from someone, right? Facebook and Instagram ads are lit. That is how we drive our sales. And I told you guys that content that we create, we then run ads on it. So Facebook and Instagram ads allow me to thrive. That's why I don't have to post every day, because social media allows my posts to show up all day, every day, because I'm paying for it to show up. So I don't have to post other than like once every couple of weeks, because my page is posting for me. My ad is doing its work. I'm increased in followers and engagement. So our brand is only increasing and thriving because of Instagram ads. And I want you guys to understand that social media is literally an ad agency at this point. You have to pay to play. So you can use all the hashtags in the world, but if you're not running ads, you're not going to see the same result as a lot of your competitors. And it's going to take you a little longer. And that's okay not to see the same result. It's okay to take longer, but understand that marketing costs. We spend around 30% of what we bring in, we put it back out for marketing. All right. We have a team member dedicated to marketing and public relations, fully dedicated. So I want you guys to understand it is something to invest in. Pinterest now has an opportunity for you guys to run ads. Check it out. See if it's a good fit for your brand. Twitter is lit. Twitter has all these new features. Snapchat, I don't really snap, but it's definitely a feature that we use to create videos, and then we'll save them and post them on Instagram. And then TikTok is now definitely going the e-commerce route, connecting with Shopify. So do your research on TikTok. I think it's a great fit for everybody's business if you guys are creatives. So definitely check it out. Alrighty, guys, and the fifth key, like I said, I just want to reiterate it. We already talked about it, but I just want to reiterate because it's something that has to be constantly created, and that's the content. I have to say it again. All right, so you have to make killer content, and you have to be consistent with it. You cannot give us fire content and then go away for a month and we can't find you, and then there's no new releases, there's no restocks, there's nothing in stock. Don't be that store. Create the content nonstop. We don't want to see the same model, and we don't want to see the same content for the next 8 months. We don't want to see the same outfit 6 years from now with the same images from 6 years ago. That content is now stale. Update your content. For me, for example, guys, I create a lot of garments and then we re-release those products. So right now I'm wearing a piece from my store, Regular Exposure. That's a re-release. We released this garment in gray back in August. We have all this killer content of this from August. We shot it on a model. Our ambassadors wore it. Then we re-released it in mocha, and now we're creating new content. We have a photo shoot coming up next week where we have a different model and a different body type coming in to show a different genre, and we're going to market to a different age group, demographic, a whole different genre of woman with this new re-release. So we can't use the same stale content. We can't just use the images and the videos that we have of our model from last month. We now have a new model coming in to create new content because a lot of our releases, they are around for the long haul. They are not pieces that we archive. We have pieces that we've been selling on our site for 4 and 5 years that are still top sellers. So our pieces, we know that because they are classic, we have to recreate them and re-innovate them. So always create new content and make it consistent. And when you guys have top sellers, make sure you always have them available if you can. If you're buying wholesale, make sure that you're buying pieces that definitely complement. It could be like the sister or the cousin to that inventory, and recreate that content. Don't just give us the old content and now say, now it's available in blue and green. No. Shoot it again in blue and green. Make video of it in blue and green. Show us why we need the blue and green. So keep it consistent and keep it updated. All right, y'all. So that definitely that's pretty much my 5 keys for you guys that's looking to launch. Now, these are steps that can be taken in way less than 90 days if you have the time. But there are so many things against us right now with this pandemic. There's so many variables. So I want you guys to definitely check your mental health, see if you're in a space to even take this on right now. But if you are, I want you guys to know that you can launch. You can launch. You don't have to do all these additional steps. Like, you can launch just like this. So I want to encourage you guys to understand that during these times, you can still launch. You can launch in less than 90 days. You can launch in more than 90 days. I want you to follow your steps. I want you to just remember that the most important key here is going to be consistency and staying committed to the content and being invested in it. It doesn't have to look professional. It just has to be consistent and look good. And professional doesn't always mean good. And what I mean by professional is we don't have to always hire a team of photographers and videographers. It might just be that good girlfriend of yours, that good boyfriend of yours that's going to take those images and videos, and you get yourself a ring light and you call it a day. I have plenty of friends that shoot in the same location. They grab their ring light and they turn up. And a lot of my peers are business owners, boutique owners, designers that are shooting content nonstop. So just continue to be creative, be consistent, and understand that nothing is against you other than you. So don't let these times hinder you from launching. It might slow you down, but don't let it stop you. All right. So I will talk to you guys on our next entry of the Fashionpreneur Diaries. Guys, I have this app for shipping. This is a major key. I have this app called Route, and we actually just upgraded our route to have full service.